Excellencies, leaders from across the ICA family, colleagues, friends, all protocols observed, Assalamu alaikum. It is fantastic to be back on the stage again, and it's lovely to be able to shift from yesterday's why it's so important to work together to how. Because just to set the context, and very importantly, this is, without question, the most exciting tourism region in the world. It is the region that is transforming, literally, economies, communities, and identities. It is a part of the world that is driving inspiration. And just to give you some facts to support that, because you know my bias and my love for the region. Up until the end of August, this region was 26% ahead of 2019 levels. 26%. So much of that fueled by the incredible mega events that have taken place, the legacy of the Qatar World Cup, the legacy of Expo, the legacy of all of the events taking place in Abu Dhabi, all of the events taking place in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, right across the region, including Oman. 26% up. There are 8 million people in this region who rely on our industry for lives, for livelihoods, for identity, for pride, for a sense of making sure that we are working with each other, for each other. And when we look at the MICE category, business and events, conferences, conventions, congresses, however we choose to talk about it, when we talk about your impact, the impact of everyone in this room, you are the segment of global tourism that ensures people are traveling year-round. You ensure that there is repeat visitation. You ensure that there is dispersal around destinations and not just into Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. We need this segment like no other segment in the world because you keep people working, hopeful, productive, and proud 365 days a year and 366 on a leap year. Which is why it's so important today that we bring to the stage leaders who are going to talk about how are we shaping the industry? How are we shaping your industry? Not just individually as nations, but collectively as a region. How is the region working with and for the region? How is the region making sure that whatever happens in the world, this region will grow as one? Because all of us need each other. Because ultimately as well, between 60 and 70% of the tourism activity, both business and leisure, that takes place in the region comes from the region. And that's where it's magnificent in terms of the opportunity that we have. So today we're going to be looking at how are we shaping the future? What are we going to be doing to work together? And I'm delighted to bring together onto this prestigious ICA stage 3 leaders who are truly committed in working to utilize our sector to shape their countries and to shape the region. So with that, I ask you all to please join me in giving a very, very warm marhaba to my speakers, Her Excellency Fatima Bint Jafar Al Sayafi, the Minister of Tourism of Bahrain and the Chairman of Bahrain Tourism and Exhibitions. Madam, please. Please also join me in welcoming His Excellency Azam Qasim Al Busaidi, the Oman Ministry of Heritage and Tourism. Please, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Shukran. And thank you, sir, for being the host of this session. We're very grateful. And may I please welcome to the stage His Excellency Fahad Abdul Mohsen Al Rashid, the Chairman of the Board of Directors of SIGA, Saudi Conventions and Exhibition General Authority. Shukran. Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, to be able to do the honors of warming up the stage, before we go into our conversation, I'm going to hand over the podium to His Excellency to please give us SIGA's point of view on working with the region, for the region, alongside Saudi.
Thank you, Anita. You have been energetic and very articulate. So I'm going to have to follow suit, but I don't know if I can, the way you did. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with you. And I thank our host city, Abu Dhabi, for the great hospitality, and definitely our friends at ICA for bringing us together, and all of you for gathering on this event. It is the right time, because this region is poised to be at the epicenter of this sector for 2 decades. Our friends in Qatar hosted the World Cup in 2022, and we hope to bring it back to the region in Saudi Arabia in 2034. Our friends in the UAE hosted the World Expo in 2021, and we will bring it back to the region in 2030. In between these big events, we will hold thousands and thousands of events in this region. So yes, you are here at the right time. And to increase regional cooperation, we are launching a new visa, the Grand Tours visa, that will allow us to come together even more. In my remarks today, I would like to tell you a bit more about what's happening in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the massive transformation that is taking shape in the country under Vision 2030, but also to tell you about the growth in the MICE sector and what you could do to be part of it. But let's start with the Saudi economy. Saudi Arabia has the 19th largest economy in the world, with over $1 trillion. But in 2016, everything changed. We launched Vision 2030, which is a blueprint for socio-economic transformation across the kingdom. We have worked on changing every sector, from traditional sectors like banking to launching moonshots like biotech, artificial intelligence, and the space economy. And it has worked. I'll give you one example, one that we all know very well. Tourism, leisure tourism, has increased from 64 million in 2016 to over 110 million today. This is just one example of what is happening. But the kingdom is also large and diverse geographically. And the Giga projects, what we call the Giga projects, are all over the kingdom. We've launched more than $1.3 trillion, $1.3 trillion in projects across the kingdom. So if you just go 400 kilometers north of here, it's not only the largest hydrocarbon deposits in the world, but it's also the largest oasis of palms in the world, in Al-Ahsa. If you go west of that, you will find in the center of the kingdom, Riyadh, the capital, which I had the privilege of running for 4 years. And there you'll find Al-Qadiyya, which will welcome 48 million visitors in the entertainment sector. Or Al-Dir'iyya, which is a heritage tourism project that is based on the history of the kingdom and the political capital of the kingdom. If you go to the west of that, you will find the Red Sea and the beautiful corals of the Red Sea. If you go to the south, you will find the 3,000 square meter high mountains that are lush and green and get you to 15 degrees in the summer. And if you go north, you'll find Neom. And everybody's talking about Neom. Everybody's talking about the line. But there is Trojena in Neom. It's a vast region. And we will hold in 2027 the Winter Asian Games. You can ski in Saudi Arabia, yes. You can ski. And in just 2 days, Al Sindala will open as the next destination for Red Sea tourism. So it is vast. but most importantly, it is human. The impact on the population has been tremendous. Unemployment rate has dropped from 13% to just 7%, a historic low. Women participation in the workforce has zoomed to 35%. In fact, they own 45% of our companies. They lead 25% of our IT companies. So the impact has been tremendous. Economically, 7% growth rate per year. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And in terms of oil or diversification away from the oil industry, we're talking about 13% growth per year over the past 8 years. So this is tremendous. But again, it's human. When I graduated 20 years ago, and now you know my age, I had few choices career-wise. I could go into the oil industry, the petrochemical industry, government, or banking. Of course, a few others. But today, my children, my daughter Lulwa, who's 15, can choose to be a biomarine engineer, can create a movie, and can even go to space. The potential is limitless. So, yes, we envy them, but we are honored as a generation, my generation and those of my colleagues, to be part of this transformation. But I tell you this background because it highlights the importance of the MICE sector, the sector that you lead, and the reason why we are all here. But not in the direct way that you may think. Yes, it's creator of jobs, it allows us to trade, but it's more than that. To activate this vision in the broadest of ways, we need partnership. We need human capital, thought leadership, not just financial capital. And the MICE sector allows us to do this. So our leaders across all the GIGA projects and across all sectors are focused on MICE. They want to work with the world, and therefore they have to bring the world to see what they are doing. And so the MICE sector has become at the forefront of their activities. And SEGA, the entity I am honored to chair with my colleagues, we are in charge of regulating the sector, but also promoting and enabling it. And since the establishment of SEGA, we have run, in terms of growth rate, at about 9% per year. In fact, just before COVID, till today, we have grown at 43%. But that is not enough. The future is much greater. In infrastructure, and I'll just speak about Riyadh, just to make it clear, the scale of what's happening. In Riyadh alone, we're building 1 million square meters of exhibition space, adding 7,000 rooms to make our supply of hotel rooms 130,000%, increasing the capacity of our airport to 120 million passengers a year, and launching a new airline called Riyadh Air, which will connect us with 100 new cities around the world. So it is tremendous. And we want to work with you for the following reason. We just don't want to copy. We want to attract international IPs, but we want to work with you as leaders in the industry on creating the next leading edge number of events. So we are providing incentives in terms of support, logistically and promotionally, yes. But we're investing $40 million next year in new events. So the potential of the sector is huge. It is the future for us in Saudi Arabia. And we invite you to come and be part of it. And in fact, to make all of this concrete, we're inviting a group of the world's leading MICE entities to come visit us in December of this year, to have meetings with all of the sector leaders across all of the industries as well as the GIGA projects. And we invite you to be part of it. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for framing it. And it's interesting how, again, this is a spectacular region and how it's almost as if you look at the map. light bulbs go off. At different times, there are light bulbs. There was a 2021 light bulb here with Expo. We had the World Cup in Qatar. Everyone has their events taking place. You've mentioned Expo in 2030. The question is, how do we bring these light bulbs together? So, Your Excellency, when you hear His Excellency speak about all that is happening in Saudi Arabia, and you look at your strategy in developing business events, how can you be of service to the kingdom, and how can the kingdom be of service to you, Madam?
Thank you. Thank you, Anita, and thank you for having me part of this esteemed panel. And, you know, I couldn't agree with you more on the fact that this is the most exciting and interesting region when it comes to tourism. And, you know, it was very heartwarming to hear that from you, Anita. And I was actually having a conversation with His Excellency yesterday about, yes, we do have a mandate to promote our countries independently as MICE destinations, as tourism destinations, but the real power is when we promote our countries collectively. And that's, in fact, one of the main things that we've done in the Kingdom of Bahrain. We've worked very closely with our counterparts in Saudi, in Oman, in the UAE, and in the other GCC countries as well, to make sure that we promote each other collectively and to capitalize, I'm not going to say the challenges, but the opportunities that each country presents.
Absolutely.
But maybe, you know, Anita, circling back to, you know, one of the main reasons why we're here today, which is how we are positioning our countries as MICE hubs, not just in the region, but internationally as well. You know, when I look back at the pandemic, it may be a time where we were, you know, rethinking our strategies. And I do believe that the pandemic in itself, there was a silver lining to it. I'm an optimist, so I will always believe in that. And it proved for all of us in the MICE industry and in the tourism industry that it proved to us how resilient the tourism industry in fact is. And in the Kingdom of Bahrain, I still remember when one of the first reports in UN Tourism came out, I believe it was in 2021, and the international recovery rate for tourism was around 65%. And in 2021, our countries proved that our recovery rates were over 90%. So that's well above the international recovery rate. At that point, we decided in the Kingdom of Bahrain that we need to rethink our strategy when it comes to tourism. And that's when we came about the tourism strategy, the 5-year tourism strategy in the Kingdom of Bahrain, 2022 to 2026. And it was actually launched part of the economic recovery plan of the kingdom. And once we launched that, one of the key initiatives in that was business tourism. It was actually one of the 7 pillars that we had. And a key project in that was Exhibition World Bahrain, which was really a game changer for the Kingdom of Bahrain in positioning itself as a MICE hub regionally and internationally. And it's one of the biggest centers in the region. It provides cutting-edge technology, facilities, gives the event organizers a lot of adaptability and flexibility when they organize their events. And what we found out is, because of Exhibition World Bahrain, other opportunities as well came about in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Yes, we introduced Exhibition World Bahrain, but other entities as well from the government and the private sector saw the potential of that industry and started creating their own events as well. I was in Georgia a few weeks ago celebrating World Tourism Day. And one of the reports, the recent reports, I believe it was in September, that was actually discussed during the forum, was the top fastest growing countries when it comes to tourism. And the Kingdom of Bahrain was one of the top 5 fastest growing countries when it comes to tourism. And I believe that a major aspect of that was because of how we positioned ourselves as a MICE hub, which trickled down in the other industries of tourism as well. Because yes, you invite business tourists to Bahrain, they enjoy the conventions, the forums, but what in fact happens is you also get them to stay more overnight stays and to experience the kingdom through leisure tourism as well. And then what happens is, through their exposure, you get them back with their families, with their friends, as well as getting, more exposure to what the Kingdom of Bahrain has to offer other than business tourism. So it's really a gateway, I believe, into introducing what a country has to offer.
And you make such an important point, because business tourism, events, MICE, it's an appetizer to the main course of travel. People get a chance to bring it back. And as you've said, coming out of the pandemic, employers are utilizing people staying on a little longer to discover Bahrain, to discover the kingdom, to discover Oman, as a way of retaining their employees. It's an incentive now. Importantly, though, you developed your strategy, you have Vision 2030, you have your strategy in place. The thinking is one thing, the acting is another. And what's remarkable and what's happened literally in the last 12 months in the region is the GCC tourism visa, which is remarkable on opening up the accessibility, and the amount of energy you've put into developing air routes. So it's not just long-haul travelers coming into the region, it's working within the region. If you look at all of the local flights, the medium and short-haul flights that have taken place. Your Excellency, from your point of view and the beautiful, beautiful nation that you represent of Oman, how are you utilizing some of these practical policy decisions to unlock business tourism in Oman?
Well, adding to what was just mentioned, I believe that going down to the practical part of it, we did, before even announcing the tourism, the GCC tourism visa, we had in 2021 announced waiving the need for visa for around 130 nationalities. And that was part of many reasons that helped Oman recover to post-COVID levels. And in fact, in 2023, we made 4 million visitors, up by 38% in comparison to 2019. And we are still seeing so much of the traction happening. And in fact, the first 6 months of this year still shows a healthy 10 to 12% growth compared with last year. I believe that all of these, as you've mentioned, practical points are going to add positively to the ability of not only Oman, but even the region to attract more and more visitors, either for business tourism or even for leisure tourism. There are other factors that I believe as well were perhaps taken for granted by all of us that allowed us to be in this position today. If I'll talk about infrastructure, for example, the ease of accessibility, the fact that some of major airlines in the world are actually based and hubbed in this region. These are all reasons that allowed us today to play such a vital role in business tourism. But as well, I would like to add, when it comes to Oman, that we have the human resources. And maybe at first one would not relate between human resources and the ability of attracting events. But part of the delegation that's present here today have honorable doctors, professionals who represent a number of societies and associations in Oman. And I believe in the energy and medical fields in Oman, we are able to attract some of the finest events in the region and in the world because of this specific fact. They are, possibilities of transferring knowledge, possibilities of learning from each other, and this is, of course, topped up with having a wonderful offering as a destination, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So yes, I think there are plenty of practical elements that allow us to be as competitive as we are today.
Right. It's interesting how when you all speak, it's very clear that Mother Nature, through the pandemic, gave us a chance to relook the engineering of our sector. So it's not just business for business sake, tourism for tourism's sake. It has to be for the sake of the people of Oman, of the people of the kingdom, of the people of Bahrain. Now, I did warn you all in our briefings that Time is business and business is time, and we're running out of time, but we have a lot of business to do. So I'm going to challenge you each. I also work in aviation, so time is precious, because if you're late, Your Excellency, you will miss your flight regardless. 30-second challenges. For all of this audience here and the opportunity that they represent to help you build your nations through tourism. 30-second challenge. Your Excellency, priority number 1. What do you need to achieve and hope to achieve with this segment? 30 seconds.
So 30 seconds, that's quite a challenge, Anita, but I'll try to live up to it. I believe that, positioning ourselves as MICE hubs in our countries is extremely important, but we won't be able to do that without the stakeholder engagement. So when I say stakeholder engagement, that means the buy-in of the aviation sector. Air connectivity is vital, especially if you're doing international events. The cross-promotion across all the tourism stakeholders in each country is extremely important as well. When we work as an exhibition center, obviously we do not work independently. We need to work very closely with our tourism stakeholders, and when I say tourism stakeholders, it's the aviation sector, it's destination management companies, and it's the hotels as well. Creating those incentive programs together to benefit the national economy of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and ideally as well creating more sustainable practices across the country so that we can become even more innovative when it comes to technology and also when it comes to eco-friendly tactics as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. 30-second challenge.
As a region, we are connected by creed, language, history. So when I visit Bahrain or Muscat, when I visit Qatar, when I visit Abu Dhabi, I feel at home, as if I never left. And this is the truth. I think what you're seeing now in the region is that simply it's our time. And if any of these leaders in this theater today think about the future and think about growth, the region is the place to be. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Business ledger or ledger. It's a global market that's worth around 315 billion US dollars and growing. I believe in Oman, and apart from the capabilities, the knowledge, the infrastructure, the accessibility, the fact that we're part of this very, very important region, I believe that the offering when it comes to this element is very, very vast, very diverse, and very rich.
Indeed. It's true, because expanding the invitation, when I look out of my hotel room and I see the Grand Mosque, my heart lifts. It is just beautiful. And every single minute of the day as the sun dances off of it, it's giving people the time to see these things. 30-second challenge continues. Your Excellency, your greatest challenge right now, that next year when you come back to the ICA Congress, you can say, mission accomplished.
Great challenge. The sector is growing at such an unbelievable rate. I said 9%, but in Riyadh, it must be 25%, 30%. It is absolutely capacity. Capacity in infrastructure, capacity airline, etc. So this is probably our biggest challenge right now in Saudi Arabia, and we're addressing it, like I said before. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Anita. I'm going to change the word challenge to opportunity. So the opportunity that I see for not only the Kingdom of Bahrain, but also the other GCC countries, but specifically when we look at the Kingdom of Bahrain, the number of overnight visitors has increased by 45% in 2023 compared to 2019. And 2019 was our best year when it comes to tourism. So we surpassed that. And that's one of the reasons why Bahrain is one of the top 5 countries in the world when it comes to developing and enhancing in tourism. So the opportunity that I see, and hopefully we can share that with you in the next Congress, is surpassing the numbers that we had for overnight visitors through directly the MICE industry in the Kingdom of Bahrain and indirectly to the ripple effect that it creates
Brilliant.
for leisure tourism as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
The global market for mice is at around 780 billion US dollars, and it's projected to double by 2033, so in 10 years. I think the opportunity we have in Oman is to try to get a fair share of this global growth in the mice sector, and specifically targeting markets that are unconventional, unusual, new markets, markets that we have never been there before. It's very clear that there is a shift towards certain markets. The interests are different. The growth of our private sector and private practices was different, and I think the ability of being able to target these new markets is going to define how much of this growth in the next 10 years Oman will be able to capture.
Brilliant, thank you. So you've all done so well on the 30-second challenges, and you can see my clock is running down. I'm giving you each 15-second challenges now. This is the last one, I promise you. In 15 seconds, Your Excellency, what is the commitment you are making to the ICA community here, please?
The commitment that I am making to the ICA community is to attract more international events in the Kingdom of Bahrain, and to make sure that we collectively as GCC countries work together to position ourselves as not just a MICE hub internationally, but also as a leisure tourism hub internationally as well.
Brilliant, thank you, Your Excellency. 15 seconds.
For me, events are art. And we commit as a country and also as an organization that we will work with you on curating the next leading edge events in the world, next year and beyond.
Brilliant, Your Excellency.
2 points. The first one, we will be continuing to support ICA as a ministry as to the best of our abilities. The second thing is that events taking place in Oman are going to be events that would be connecting with the depth of our knowledge in the country, with the offering that we have, with the diversity of our tourism ecosystem, and most importantly, they are going to be relevant to this global growth that's taking place, not only as Oman, but as well part of this region.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I ask you please, 30-second challenge, loud, warm, loving clap to our lovely leaders. Shukran. Thank you so much.